Hello friends, welcome to Code Smarts. So in this video we will try to understand the input and output function in Angular. Basically what is the use case and how we basically use it in Angular. So first of all I would like to give an overview regarding input output. So basically input and output both is used to communicate between child and parent components. So here I am on the official documentation. Here you can see input value has been initialized. So one thing you should know that input is a read-only signal. Okay, so previously we used to have a input output decorator. Here you can see in the last it has been given like here is the input decorator. Okay, but since Angular 17 afterwards we are using the Angular has introduced signal based input output. So here it is Angular team already recommending to use signal based input instead of decorator. Although it is still valid, means it is supported. You can in the older project of Angular you will find input decorator. But since we are learning, so we should focus on updated one. Okay, so here you can see it's a child component, basically custom slider, and it has been declared the input as a value. So wherever like here custom slider has been called in the whenever we will call it in the parent component, so we will pass it value as an input. Okay, so similarly here same thing, telling like input signal and type number. Okay, and we can define a generic type like number. Okay, so here we can see here the computed function has been used to see the input value. Okay, so here we can set it required as well. So if the input will be required in the child component, so we will have to pass in the parent component. Okay, so if we will not pass, then it will give the build time error. So here we can use a transform function as well. Just like if we will get any string, so we will just trim that value before assigning it to the label. Okay, here you can see. So this is the transform, and these are the built-in transform function like boolean attribute and number attribute. Okay, and here is the slider value. So basically we can use the alias, means when we will call this in the parent component, so we will pass the value to the slider value and it will go to this value. Okay, it's just like a replace value, means it will slider value will replace the value of this value. Okay, so basically it's not generally used. It will use in the some cases where there is an conflicting of the attribute value, like here you can see it will look like an HTML value, so it has been given the custom slider value so that it becomes clear that it's a component specific. Okay, here is the model input. So model is basically just like ng model, two-way data binding. So basically it will be used to write as well. So input is the read-only signal, so model will be writable signal. Okay, means parent can receive and as well as send the data. Here you can see it's like ng model we have been declared. Okay, so if you come down, so again here is the input decorator. As I have told you, in the older project in Angular you will find this, but it's best practice to go with signal based input output because it's fast and recommended. Okay, so at the last you can see if there is a base class like base slider, we have declared any variable. So if you want to use it as a input, so we will just declare in our component like disable value will be as an input. Okay, and we can set it alias as well. So this was all about input and model. So it was to give an overview regarding what is input and model. If we go to the next page, then it will show the outputs. Okay, so output is basically used to give the output from the child component to the parent component. Okay, it will emit an event. It's a event based. Okay, here you can see it has been declared in the child component output. Okay, so one thing you should know that input and output will be always declared in the child component. Okay, it will declared in the child component, and when we will call that child component in the parent component, then we will use it. Okay, here you can see the parent component will receive that event and will call the function. Okay, so in the child component we will declare this like dot emit, so it will emit the event and we will capture that event in the parent component with the dollar event. Okay, here similarly we can use the alias. Okay, here is the dynamic way of programmatically to subscribe the value. Okay, choosing event names. Yes, same again thing in the older version of Angular we use output decorator. So if you are using on new project, then we should focus on signal based output. Okay, similarly we can use the alias, and same here for inherit as well. If we are extending the base class, then we can use that variable in the component decorator as a output. Okay, and here is the alias. So this was the basic idea regarding input, output and model. Now let us go to the coding level so that we will understand better. Here you can see I have created the parent component, signal demo parent, and inside the parent component I have created the child component. Okay, so if you go to the child component, here you can see I have declared the variables, input signals like title, username, count, and here I have used the transform as well to transform the value to the number. Suppose that input value might be string. Okay, and same thing for output, we have declared the output function. So one thing you should remember that this output and input will always be declared inside the child component. Okay, so parent component will basically what, pass the data and receive the data. Okay, and here you can see we have used the model two-way data binding and we have used the alias value. So when we will pass the value in the parent component, then we will use the value. Okay, here you can see here is the parent component HTML. So this is the child component tag. Okay, and here we are passing the title, count value. Here is the model two-way data binding, and here is the output. So it will emit the event and we will receive that event in the parent component. Okay, so this was regarding the basic idea how basically input output works. Now since my project is already running, so I will show you here on the browser itself. Here you can see this is the parent control and this is the child component. Okay, so if any value I will change in the parent component, it will reflect in the child component. Just like if I type it 1 2 3, here you can see it's reflecting in the child component. Okay, and similarly here is the slider. Slider is using model two-way data binding. So if I scroll 59, so here you can see it's changing to 59. Okay, and here you can see here is the child component. Okay, so if I change that slider value in the child component, here 70, it will change into the parent component as well. Okay, change by child, here you can see. So this is the two-way data binding. Okay, and last one is output. Okay, so here we are displaying the if any event, output event will trigger, then it will show here in this section. Here you can see this is the output signal, this is the child. So we are clicking in the child component. Here you can see, if count value, right now count value is 42. Okay, so when I will trigger value change, it will increment by 1. Okay, it will, here you can see, here it will show the count value 43. So it's a parent component, and here is the child component event. So here I have triggered, here you can see parent component receive the value. Okay, so this was the basic idea regarding input output. Okay, how basically child and parent component use. So one thing you should know that all the input output variables will be declared in the child component only. Okay, this is the basic confusion sometimes happens. Okay, so your parent component will receive and give the value, and whatever the input output declaration will always be in the child component itself. Okay, because ultimately child component is the responsible to receive and send the data. Okay, so I think it's useful, and if you you can find this code on my GitHub profile as well. Here you can see, Rakesh Deus here GitHub account. So on this repository, if you go, this is the my project. Okay, you can clone the project and get the code. So code you can get easily, no doubt, but the only thing is you should know the concept. Okay, so my main motto was to make you clear regarding how child and parent components communicate in the Angular, and later on we will discuss advanced topic regarding routing and other advanced topic. So if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.